Hello, UGTRB English, Unit 1, History of English Literature, Life and Works of Shakespeare, Part 2. Shakespeare became popular in London, and in 1592, he was criticized by Robert Greene, the university wit, and Shakespeare was a growing playwright. Something unfortunate happened in 1593. An epidemic called plague struck England, and because of this, theatres were closed in England. And what did Shakespeare do? Shakespeare resorted to writing poetry. Shakespeare turned to writing poetry, and in the year 1593, Shakespeare came out with two poems. One is Venus and Adonis, which he dedicated to Henry Ritholsey, 3rd Earl of Southampton, who was a young courtier and a favorite of Queen Elizabeth. And this Henry Ritholsey became the patron of William Shakespeare. And regarding the other poem, it is Lucrece. And Hudson, the author of English literature, comments about the poet William Shakespeare as that his non-dramatic poetry included Venus and Adonis and Lucrece. In both the poems, Shakespeare presented the classicism of his age, and other than this, he wrote a sonnet sequence consisting of 154 sonnets. Out of the 154 sonnets, the first 126 sonnets were addressed to a man, which reminded the man about marriage and bringing up a family, and the others were addressed to a woman. This is Hudson's observation. Regarding the early plays of Shakespeare, Shakespeare's early plays include Henry VI, Part 1, 2 and 3, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, and Titus Andronicus. And the sonnets, though were written earlier, were not published. The sonnets, though were written earlier, were not published until 1609. And Shakespeare was first mentioned as a sonneteer, as the author of sonnets, and as the author of 12 plays in a work titled Palladius Tamia, Wit Treasury, being the second part of Wit's Commonwealth, published in 1598. This book was authored by a minister named Francis Meres. So Shakespeare was first mentioned in a book as a sonneteer and the author of 12 plays in a book titled Palladius Tamia, Wit's Treasury, being the second part of Wit's Commonwealth, published in 1598. And this work was written by the minister Francis Meres. Now, coming to William Shakespeare, the actor and the stakeholder. In 1594, Shakespeare became a founding member, actor and playwright, and the shareholder of a famous drama company titled Lord Chamberlain's Men. And it is to be noted that Richard Burbage was the leading actor of Lord Chamberlain Men, and he played important roles in Richard III, Hamlet, Othello, and King Lear. And this company, that is Lord Chamberlain's Men, under King James VI and King James I, was renamed the King's Men, and Shakespeare was also part of it. Regarding Shakespeare's wealth, by this time Shakespeare had a lot of money. He bought a new place, which was the largest property in Stratford in the year 1597, and in 1598 Shakespeare was listed as a resident of Chapel Ward, Chapel Street Ward, in which a new place was situated. And in 1601, Shakespeare father died, leaving behind two houses in Hanley Street. So Shakespeare was becoming very rich. And to add to this, Shakespeare in 1602 paid £320 in cash to William Combe and to his nephew John for roughly 107 acres of land in Old Stratford. And he also bought a cottage and more land in Chapel Lane. In 1605, for £440, Shakespeare bought half an interest in lease of many tithes, in which brought him annual interest of £60. And by the time of his death in 1616, Shakespeare had a lot of wealth. Now, regarding the last days of William Shakespeare, Shakespeare, after 1611, retired from stage and returned to his hometown, Stratford. And on 25th March 1616, Shakespeare revised his will and signed his will. And on 23rd April, he died, aged 52. This is very important that he died on 23rd April, 1616. And he was buried on 25th April 1616 at Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, and followed his death in the year 1612 and also died and was buried beside William Shakespeare. And regarding the family line of William Shakespeare, none of them survived, and the last survivor was his granddaughter Elizabeth, and she too died in 1670. Just a preview of how fate played a role in William Shakespeare's life. William Shakespeare's daughter Susanna grew up, and she married a well-to-do doctor in Stratford by name John Hall, and they had one child by name Elizabeth in the year 1608. And Elizabeth, the granddaughter of William Shakespeare, she married Thomas Nash in 1626, and she remarried John Bernard in 1649, but she had no children. So through Susan, there was no family lineage. Now coming to the other children, the other daughter, Judith. She married a winter by name Thomas Quincy in 1616, and they had 3 children. They were named Shakespeare Quincy, and this Shakespeare Quincy died as a newborn baby. Then Richard, he lived for a short time, and then Thomas, he lived also for a short time. And you find that none of the children of Judith survived. So, no direct lineage for William Shakespeare. Regarding the publication of the plays of William Shakespeare, William Shakespeare's plays were collected in 1623, 7 years after Shakespeare's death, by 2 actors from King's Company named John Hemninge and Henry Condell. And these people, they approached a publisher by name William Jaggard and his son Isaac, and they got the works of William Shakespeare published. And this publication contained 36 plays and was sold for £1. And this publication was called the First Folio. The First Folio contained 36 plays, and it was published in the year 1623 by the efforts of John Hemninch and Henry Condell, who were the actors from the King's Company. With this, we wind up this video and we will come up with another video. Thank you. Keep watching.